Oh, good. Can you come and lead us? You don't want to lead us. Then Peter, will you lead us to spell? Okay, so we're all going to... Senior, please come and help. Oh, madam, good. Oh. Okay, so one female, one male. The two of them are coming. Help us. Quickly. Spelling AfCFTA with our waist. Good. That's a good assignment. Okay? What do we start with? And how do we do it? Okay, so I will say the A, then they will demonstrate. So please watch them. A. Hey. Asemaba. Oh, we didn't see anybody do it. A. All of us. Good. So F. How do we do it? A. Okay, so we're all going to try that one real quick. We need to get this food settling everywhere, including our waist, our knees, and all of that. Make sure it settles because the trading session is going to be very thorough. F, we are starting. Okay, everybody, F. Hey. Now C. Wow. C. Okay, F. A. That's one. Okay, so T. Ah. This one will be difficult. Okay, let's all do the T again. Let's all do the T. Correct. And then the last A. The last A, how do we do it? That one there is massive. Everybody. If you don't do it, we'll bring you forward. The last A, let's do it again. Okay, before we clap for them, I noticed that the AfCFTA, the first F is small letter, and then the next F is capital. We want them to show us how we do the small F and then we'll never. But you see, what surprises me is that more often than not, you people, you are pepe. Why did you rehearse before you came? You get it all right together. So let's do the small F. The big F now. What? Shall we all do the big F together? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We thank you. So we settle now, and we invite Professor Lu to lead us, welcome all of us, and then after that, I think we'll hear from Mr. Adam as well, and then our training session commences. Let's put our hands together and welcome Professor Lu.
Okay, hello. Oh, after all that energy, the high is weak. Hello. How nice, how nice. We're very happy that you are all here and energized from your morning. And from all accounts, your morning was exciting, thrilling, insightful, and hopefully inspiring. Yeah. So very good. Welcome to you all. I won't say too much other than to say that today I think is going to be just capping off where we started yesterday, learning about the AfCFTA, trying to understand it from the perspective of experts, practitioners, and then expert SME producers such as yourself. And I think collectively we came to deepen our understanding of the challenges that we have as producers and the challenges that we have in terms of understanding the AfCFTA framework and the challenges ahead in terms of how we want to address those gaps so that we can effectively engage in external markets and expand our businesses so that other people receive our goods and perhaps we can input into their own production cycle. So I think that was a very, very good meeting yesterday. And then today was really more practical, understanding how others have done it and how are we doing it. Maybe that was a reflection that we had in our own minds, looking into what others are doing. And we'll be really, really excited to hear from some of you what insights you gathered from your various company visits. So mine is just to say welcome. And as Samuel just said, we want to get straight into the process of what we have in store today. And we begin with, some of you may have said, wait a minute, what has this got to do with the survey I was asked to? How many of you actually were asked to do what? That's a good question. Were you asked to actually go to a link regarding a survey? Yes. Okay. And I'm saying that maybe some of you are wondering, what does that survey have to do with why we're here? And so without further ado, maybe we bring our esteemed monitoring and evaluation specialist from ACBF, Mr. Edem Nesagavo, to try and put some kind of understanding as to what that link had to do with why we're sitting here and what we have in store for the rest of the day. So I'm keeping you in suspense. Yeah. Thank you. Edem, over to you.
Good afternoon, dear participants. To start with, my name is Edem Nesagavo. I'm from ACBF, like Pros introduced me, in the Monitoring and Evaluation Unit at Program Department. Yes, of course, when we are preparing this training with the CREA and the other partners, there was this question about how can we not assess but understand the level of your knowledge on African continental free trade area and the cross-border trade issues. So this is the tradition, or this is the way we proceed in ACBF, where as a capacity building organization, every training has to start with the understanding of what we call the basis, the baseline, so that after the training, we'll assess also to what extent the participants have acquired the knowledge and how they are using that particular skills and competence that they have, or experience that they have learned throughout the training. So the survey that we share and then you completed is just to get to know where we are in terms of our understanding of those issues that we are dealing with. Of course, you are the expert, you are doing it every day, but because you want to acquire maybe new knowledge, so this is very important for the group, the partners, to see to what extent we can provide those support that you need to be able to improve your business. So the survey covered, I would say, 3 major areas that we want to to assess your knowledge and competence experience. The first is around the profile of your organization. And the second is on the level of awareness on the African continental freight area. And then the third one is around your understanding on issues around the cross-border trade. And then the last is issues around accessibility to financing and markets across the continent. Of course, we got more than 160 or 20 registered and 60 invited for this training, but only 32 people responded to the training, so to the survey. So what I'm going to present is just around those 32 responded. Most, in terms of the profile of those respondents, we got, women were many, 50%, and women, and then the issue is that someone has not provided his or her country of, the gender. So I don't know whether it's both women and women together. So that is why we got 50% women and then less men. In terms of the origin, we got 12 from Ghana, 12 from Togo, and then the others from Cameroon, Burkina Faso, and Nigeria. So these are the people who, in terms of the respondent, who provided the perspective in this survey. Okay, now, in terms of the business profile, we have seen that most of the people who responded to the survey were operating in the secondary sector. It has to do with the manufacturing, construction, food processing, and few are in the mining sector, and almost some are specified orders. It means that they have not indicated specifically the sector, but because we have categorized the business sector into three: the primary, the secondary, and then the tertiary. So most of the respondents are, operating in this secondary sector. That's what we are referring to now here. The business type, in terms of the leadership, again, most of the business, 50% of the business are led by women, and 45% by men, which is something very interesting on the continent, because that most of the business are more or less led by the women. It's very encouraging. Okay, now your awareness around first the African Continental Freight Area Agreement. The question is around whether we have read about the AfCFTA. The majority say yes, 75%. And have they been involved? Have you been involved in AfCFTA event in the past? Most of you say no, 63%. That is out of the 32 people who responded. Maybe that is why we are all here. In terms of the cross-border trade issues, whether we have engaged in cross-border trade within Africa, yes, most of you, most of the respondents, yes, 63%, that is very high. And your product or good, to what extent, in terms of the percentage, you incorporate local content in your product. That one, I think there is, I don't know whether Prof can help, but this one is 55% said they incorporate 70% minimum of the local content in the product. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know, but for me, it's not a. So use more local product to manufacture your good. It's good. You confirm? Okay. Okay, this is maybe one of the barriers that we discussed yesterday is when we are having those bank people, they talk about the financing. So in terms of the financing, accessibility to market first, your perception in terms of whether it is easy or not to access the market with your product. The majority say it's very difficult. 67% that it's difficult to access the market. So what does it mean, all this information? We just highlight some of the key issues. It means that the CFTA, we have some kind of understanding, and also the requirements in terms of whether you really capture what is being required to get involved in the CFTA. It is also moderate or limited. And to some extent also your confidence in terms of participating in the CFTA or involved in this new way of trading in Africa. That one is encouraging. Most of you said, yeah, we are happy that this is something that can also increase your markets, and you are ready to be committed in it. So finally, in terms of expectations, there are so many expectations. I cannot read them here because you can finish almost 2 pages of expectations. Let me just read 1 or 2 of them, and then I will pass over to the Prof. One said, in terms of expectations, to become abreast with the merits and demerits of the AfCFTA program, network with other business people and professionals attending, and secure business deals with potential and existing businesses in Africa. One expectation is also about, just a minute. Someone said, I will have the opportunity to learn how to identify markets of our products on the continent. In addition, I will be able to understand new trends and businesses regulations such as market access rules, customs duty, and shipping requirements on the continent. Also, I will have a better understanding of the objective and goal of AfCFTA, giving me opportunity to network with other business associates and mutual benefits. The last one, if you allow me to read it, there are many, so we cannot cover all of them. To get reliable outlet for my raw materials and have contacts for market collaboration share knowledge and experience, networking, partnership, and see how we can work together. So, dear participants, this is just a quick picture of what we have got as a finding in assessing the survey, but the full report will be available and then also attached to the conference and training report. You can have access to it. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Adam, thank you very much. I don't know if you all appreciate exactly what he has just done, but let's just quickly give him a huge round of applause and unpack it. You know, it's extremely important. You see, an organization like ACBF has a person like him dedicated to collecting intelligence on customers, clients, constituents, stakeholders they work with. Isn't that what we should be doing? It's evidence-based research that defines your purpose for why you do certain actions and programs. And as SMEs, we should work towards relying on that kind of practice because then you have meaning in terms of why you're producing and marketing your goods at home and abroad. And if you don't have the money to have a dedicated person, as Mr. Adam, I think you can reach out to various research institutions who may even do it for free because they need to find out certain information that might meet your own interests, or they can find organizations that support that kind of data collection to enable you go to market and develop a go-to-market strategy that Mr. Luterad will be discussing with you in, well, shortly. So it's for that reason that I think it's extremely important that we really appreciate what ACBF has offered us this afternoon. So thank you very much, Adam. Thank you. So let me give it to, we're behind, so I'm hoping you can fast track us a little bit.
Yeah. So we're going to have the next training, and it's going to be facilitated by Mr. Didier Bokumba, who is with the Trading Goods area at the African Continental Free Trade Secretariat. And he's going to talk about the AfCFTA rules of origin and certification. Shall we put our hands together and welcome him, please?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for giving me the floor. As I've been advised, I will deliver my presentation in French, yes? Isn't it?
I think we should be fine. I think we have the interpretation devices on your tables so that we don't stress you too much. But where you can chip in some English, yes.
I'm okay.
I know you do very well.
I've been advised by Professor. Yeah.
If you do the French, they will interpret it.
Let's go.
And I think that this is the best time to take opportunity. You are the same people seeking the opportunities to take your goods to Cameroon and Senegal. The best time to be able to absorb French and interpret it, the better it is for you. Thank you.
So it means you should not use the headphone. Yeah? Ok. Voilà. Donc, bon après-midi. Il m'a été demandé de faire une présentation sur les règles d'origine de la SDCAF. I've been requested to deliver a presentation on AfCFTA rules of origin. So let's go until you are ready to provide enough devices to participants. So I will start in English. Then, if possible, we can switch in French. Yes. Okay. When we are talking about AfCFTA rules of origin, the first thing is to define what is origin. AfCFTA rules of origin, we should first define origin. What is origin of goods? When we are talking about origin of goods, it means the economic nationality of goods, because we can have political or geographical nationality, but for origin of goods, it's economic nationality of goods. That is the definition, the common definition of origin, rules of origin. We can also, there is no PowerPoint presentation? Yeah? Yes, I've sent the presentation to the organizers. It's better to follow the screen, yeah. Yeah, it's better, yeah. It's also important to know what is the importance of origin. The importance of origin is that origin is used for in trade, international trade, for applying some economic measures like restrictions. I think we know restrictions, prohibition. Those measures need to fix the origin of product, because without knowing the origin of product, you cannot be able to apply these commercial measures. We use also origin for applying preferential tariff measures. And you know, for AfCFTA, the most important thing of AfCFTA, or the most important advantage of AfCFTA for you, SMEs, is that you can be granted preferential tariff, which can be reduction of tariff or suppression of tariff. So we can have zero tariff or reduction of tariff. Yes, let's go. My presentation will be focused on 4 points. The first one is I will provide, and I'm providing, a background on origin notion. The second is, I will talk about origin criteria, because when we are talking about rules of origin, we should know that rules of origin are criteria and conditions that determine the origin of products. So we will first deal with origin criteria, then with conditions relating to origin. Then we'll move to the certification, which is the most important, I can say, the most important action that should be done, because when you have determined the origin of the product, then you should certify the origin of the product. And the last thing, when we are dealing with rules of origin, after determining origin of product, certifying origin, then it comes to verify origin. But to verification of origin is the responsibility of customs. As I'm not dealing with customs, I'm dealing with SMEs, so I will just focus on determination of origin and certification of origin. Let's move to the next, we can continue. Let's go to the substantial issue. It's important to know what is the legal basis of AfCFTA rules of origin. When we are dealing with AfCFTA rules of origin, we should use document, we should use legal text. So it's important to know the legal basis of rules of origin. The first, or the most important legal document on origin is the AfCFTA agreement. Then, under the AfCFTA agreement, we have protocols, but relating to AfCFTA rules of origin, the main protocol is the protocol on trading goods. Then we have annexes on rules of origin. The annex which is used is Annex 2 on rules of origin. Under Annex 2 on rules of origin, we have 4 appendices. And the main appendix is Appendix 4. Just to recall that in terms of rules of origin, we have 2 kinds of rules of origin. We have general rules and specific rules. General rules are those who are not specific. We have specific rules. It means when we talk about specific rules, we are determining rules based on their HS code. I think you should be familiar with the HS nomenclature, because when you are dealing with exportation or importation, you need to fix the HS code of the product that you should export. And on rules of origin, we have specific rules. Okay, so I've been told that the devices have been provided, so.
Everyone has a device. Everyone has a device. So if you don't have it, just raise your hand. DA will switch to the French when appropriate. And so if you don't have it, just raise your hand to
Okay. So we have Annex 2 on rules of origin and 4 appendices. The most important appendix is Appendix 4 on specific rules. Then we have rules of origin manual on rules of origin. We have also the ministerial regulation on SEZ products. So these are the legal document used on AfCFTA rules of origin. Yes, can we move to the next slide? Then, now we can talk about origin criteria. I told you that I've already mentioned that when we are dealing with the AfCFTA rules of origin, we should bear in mind that we are talking about criteria and conditions. Okay, so let's first deal with criteria, origin criteria. Under AfCFTA, we have 5 criteria, origin criteria. The first one is wholly obtained products. We have also substantial transformation. We have also substantial transformation criteria. The difference between wholly obtained products and substantial transformation criteria is that for wholly obtained products, we are dealing with products which are obtained by using only local content. But when we use imported material, we should not use wholly obtained product as a criterion. We move to substantial transformation criteria. Yes. Okay, let's go back. Wholly obtained. We use wholly obtained criterion only for local content products. When we use imported material to obtain a product, so we move to substantial transformation criteria. Why do we move to substantial transformation criteria? Because when we use imported material, we should make sure that the transformation is substantial. The transformation is substantial when it can be certified by change in tariff criterion, change in subheading criterion, by process rule, or value added, value of non-originating materials. So let's now focus on wholly obtained products criterion, which is the first one, and we use it only for local content products. To apply this criterion, we use Article 5 of Annex 2 on rules of origin. This article provides a list of products that can be considered as wholly obtained. Okay? We can have mineral products, we can have vegetables or plants, then we can have also animals. So animals are wholly obtained. Mineral are wholly obtained because when we are dealing with, like with copper, obtained in Ghana, yes, it's wholly obtained. It was not obtained using imported material, so it's wholly obtained. That's why we say we use wholly obtained for mineral, vegetables, and animals, we use wool-obtain. Yeah. But when a product is obtained with imported material, we move to the substantial transformation criterion. The first one is value-added criterion, value-added. What does it mean? We use value-added by calculating a threshold. We should calculate a threshold. How do we calculate this threshold? We divide the value added by X work price of the product. Then the threshold should be compared, the value of the threshold which will be calculated will be compared to the required threshold in Appendix 4. So we go to the Appendix 4, we check on the HS code of the product what is the required threshold in terms of value added. Then we compare with the value threshold, value added threshold that has been calculated. It's very easy. The second criterion, the second transformation, substantial transformation criterion is value of non-originating material. As a ad valorem criterion, we should also calculate a threshold. We calculate this threshold by using the value of non-originating material based on FOB. So we use the FOB as the basis, and we divide it by X work price of the product. And the threshold that will result from this calculation will be compared to the required thresholds in Appendix 4. Sorry. Yes, I just forgot to say that when I deliver my presentation and there is no question, I scare. Sorry, please, let's move to the beginning. If there is any question, please don't hesitate to interrupt me and ask your question so that this session will be interactive. It's not good to have like a mass session. Yeah? Please. Is there any question? So, do you know the difference between wholly-obtained product and other criterion? Is there someone who can tell me the difference between wholly-obtained and a substantial transformation criteria?
If we can't ask, he's going to ask so that I bring the microphone to you for answers.
I scare, so.
You have.
Yes, yes.
The wholly obtained, the criteria is the natural, is wholly natural. There's no foreign element in the product.
Very good. And substantial transformation?
Somebody from that side. Otherwise, I will just choose one person. You have a question. All right.
Thank you so much, madam. Now I can be confident, yeah?
Right. I have a quick question, not answering yours, but separate question.
Yes.
Ghanaians are fortunate because if they want information on the AfCFTA, they simply go to trade DAOs. For those countries that don't have the equivalent of a trade DAOs, where can they go to get information on the AfCFTA? Thank you.
Thank you so much. They can use our ITC tools. We have e-tariff book. We have AfCFTA website, which provides so many information on AfCFTA document or AfCFTA process. There are so many information they can get from our website. Yes. So thank you so much, madam. Now I'm confident. I can make sure that you are capturing what I'm saying and you follow, you really follow. Then we can proceed. So the third criterion on substantial transformation is specific process. Specific process, we use it in focusing on the process that has been used. So when you apply this criterion, you should just check that the required process in Appendix 4 is the one used to manufacture the product. You just compare, match the process that has been used to manufacture the product and the one required in Appendix 4. So you go to Appendix 4, you check if the process used is the same with the one that you have performed. Okay? Then the first one is change in tariff. We have change in tariff and change in change in tariff or change in subheading. I don't know why it doesn't appear, but sometimes I prefer to talk than use the material. So the first, value added, we have already review value added. We know what is value added. We have a value of non-originating material. Process rule. We also have change in tariff and change in subheading. Change in tariff, we should just compare the heading of the finished product, which is in Appendix 4. So we check based on the HS code of the product, and we compare with imported material that has been used. If the imported material used to get the final product are classified in different heading, so the transformation has been completed, the transformation has been substantial. So we have used the change in tariff, okay? But we can also use change in subheading. So for change in subheading, we just compare the subheading of the material used and the subheading of the final product. We just compare and make sure that the HS code subheading of the imported material are different to the subheading of the final product. Okay? So these are the criteria used to determine origin of the product. But we have also, as I've already mentioned, we have criteria and conditions. So in terms of condition, we have many conditions. Maybe it will not be possible to go through all these conditions, but I would like to focus on maybe 3 of them: tolerance rule, absorption principle, and cumulation. Yes, please.
Yes, I'm a bit confused with the change in tariff and then the change
In subheading.
with subheading. So if you can elaborate on it again.
Thank you so much. Yes. Change in tariff, we just compare the heading of the materials used and the heading of the final product, and make sure that there is a change in tariff. It means the HS code of the imported material should be different from the HS code of the final product. That is change in tariff. But we can also have change in subheading. So instead of tariff, we compare the subheading of the imported material with the subheading of the final product. Is it okay? In one case, we used the heading. Other case, we use the subheading. Okay? Thank you so much. You know, you see, for me it's evident. When I'm talking about subheading, for me it's evident. There is no, so we are dealing with the HS nomenclature. When we use HS nomenclature to design a product, mainly we can use the chapter. The chapter is provided by two digits chapter. So we can have chapter 8, we have 0 and 8. Chapter 10, we have chapter 1 to 97. So all products used in international trade are designated and classified from chapter 1 to chapter 97. Okay? Like fish. Fish are classified in chapter 3. What again? Coffee, chapter 9. What again? Can you ask one? Sorry? Cocoa, it should be chapter 7. So you see, each product is classified based on its characteristics to be part of one of these chapters. So when you go to Appendix 4, you should be able to know the HS code of your product. It's important to know the HS code of your product, because it's based on the HS code of the product that you can know what criterion apply for this product. And it's provided in Appendix 4. When you go to Appendix 4, you can see, based on the HS code of the product, what is the rule that should apply. That is the, yeah.
If anyone wants to thing in between, please, just raise your hand. I'll bring the microphone. You can ask the question so that you don't have to wait all the way to the end before. Yeah.
So it means when we use HS nomenclature, the 2 first digits represent the chapter. Okay? Then 3, 4, it's the heading. 5, 6, subheading. So it means when we are talking about subheading, so we are dealing with the product, but based on 6 digits. Heading, 4 digits. That is the difference between these things. But I'm sorry, maybe I could not be able to explain as best as possible, because these things you should practice. If you don't practice, you will not be able. It will seem like magic, but when you apply it, it becomes easier for you. Yes, please.
Monsieur Didier, thank you very much. I think this is a very useful session. I think as you explained with a different criterion, yesterday we were made to understand that for businesses to be able to be competitive, they need to scale up. And you explaining the different local content is useful. We also want to encourage SMEs to grow. By growing, they need to transform, they need to manufacture, because manufacturing is key. Just the natural product, they're not adding value, will not help us also. And I think a lot of people here, for me, even as you explain, it's complex. Mention the HS code, the chapters. There must be a way of, because this is going to be implemented, there must be a way of simplifying. And from what you said, I mean, if institutions who are very conversant and there are quick ways of referencing this document to help people use it effectively. The information may be on the website, all right, but I may go there and I can get confused. So I think this is a useful exercise. You are providing us lists how to probably, it's a manual. For me, this is how I see it. It's like a book that you bought, okay? You don't want to probably read all the chapters, you want to just go to the relevant chapter, because that's what you need. So there must be a way of helping us, some sort of a useful glossary guide, so that people can just go to it and quickly get the information they need to help their businesses grow.
Thank you. Yes. But in most of the business, you should hire how do we call it?
Are they supposed to rely on the freight forwarders, the clearing agent, to facilitate the process? Yes,
you need a clearance agent. We call it sometimes a broker. You need a broker who could help you to deal with these things. It's not easy as a businessman to know accountant, to know rules of origin, to know management, and so on. So, yes. If it's not easy for you, you need someone to help you. A clearance agent or a broker who can help you to deal with these things. But it's also possible to learn these things. It's not magic, but you need a little bit time, yes, time to deal with, so that you can be conversant with that.
Okay, so this gentleman, but Didier, just to top up on yours or to ask further, is it the case like importing and exporting normal goods? So some of them already import and export, and they've been doing that through the clearing agents, as you said. Is this supposed to be the case that they rely on the clearing agents to continue to facilitate this? And in the event that they can do it themselves, then they go in for the self-declarant process of clearing or exporting. Is that the case?
Yes.
Mr. Nyame-Befi?
Yes.
You facilitate trade. You handle the trade facilitation. You may want to touch on that.
Yeah, normally, you as the exporter or the importer, depending on the commodity or the goods that you are exporting, you can contact a clearing or forwarding agent in Ghana, as we call them. In French, they call them brokers. You know, so that's why at times, or you can approach customs. You know, then they will be able to tell you, because there are instances where the HS code or the line that you have quoted, the customs agent or the clearing or forwarding agent may disagree with you. So you have to make sure that you are doing the same thing. And most of the time, as he said, if you want to be on the good note, just see the clearing or forwarding agent or the custom officer. Because one particular product, depending on even the use of the product, can be classified into different headings. Like if it's an egg, and it is egg for day-old, to produce day-old chicks and other things, the line can be different from eggs for consumption and a whole lot of them. So most of the time, the best is to approach customs or the clearing and forwarding agent, and then they will be able to show you. And then, as he said, like the change in tariff headings, normally, if it is a raw material, the classification is different. Then, if it is a finished product also, the classification will move to another line. So naturally, when you show it to a customs or clearing and forwarding agent, they should be able to know the difference and give you the appropriate, whether it qualifies under the rules of origin or not. But normally, if it is primary products made from Africa, that one you don't have a problem. If it is change in tariff heading, that one too is straightforward. It's when there is what they call transformation, and you need percentage of transformation before you get, you qualify as it as a preferential thing. That is where the challenge normally is. But finally, he started with just the change in tariff and other things, and you go to the transformation process where you see those calculations. You know, normally is the customs or the foreign agent that will show you that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I had to disturb him to further explain on that because I saw a lot of faces confused. This particular area is very detailed, and a whole agency under customs handles that. That's the custom house, brokers, and customs agencies. So it's important that if you don't get it, you seek that attention. Even when you go to the National AfCFTA office, they will tell you still rely on customs for further understanding. You may not get it at once.
Yeah, I think it's very important. For me, we have to understand them ourselves. Because in the past, I used to import a lot of stuff. And by the time you realize the agent is already cheating you, he's not doing anything. Just clearing your goods, all your money goes to him. So I don't think as SMEs, we can sit down without understanding some of these things. And for me, I like creating business. So I'll take this one as one of the business opportunities. We can simply create an app, which you can just search through that app, and all your information, everything will just populate. It becomes so easy for you to work with it. Even attach voice and other things. So even if you can't read, you can at least watch videos or understand each of the sections, which I think this can easily be done with an application.
Very good.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. There is a.
Okay, so my name is Mayan. The reason why I'm not really asking questions is because I've gone through all this process, so I know the hassle of getting the HS codes and everything. So personally, I wanted to go the legal way because most of the clearing agents, they'll tell me that, oh, just bring my products, they'll ship it for me. Wherever my buyer is, they'll do it for me. But they weren't telling me that, oh, this is the HS code for each ingredient in my product, and then also to the whatever I need to know that, oh, this code is the name of like my product. Let's say it's shampoo, so this is the shampoo code, and maybe I use coconut oil or castor oil, so this is the code for each product. They don't tell me that, so I decided to go to the customs office myself. I went to the head office. When I got there, I was told that they don't give it to individuals. I mean individuals as business owners, so I should go back to see an exporter or a clearing agent. Meanwhile, the clearing agent also telling me I should just bring my products. So what personally I did to get to know all the HS codes and everything of my ingredients is to go to the customs website, and then I search for the products, the ingredients of each product I use to make my products, and then get the codes from there. But I also realized that all the ingredients I use aren't under the customs website. So I went to the GEPA website, and I also realized that some of my ingredients I use, the HS codes are there. So that's how come I got all the information to fill my certificate of origin form to ensure that I get my certificate of origin. But since February, I haven't received my certificate, so please kindly do something for me.
No, that's very nice. In summary, what I can say, the first thing important to use Appendix 4 to know what rules apply to your product is to know the HS code. It's the first thing, to know the HS code. Knowing HS code, you can rely to the brokers, you can rely to customs officers, but you can also try, like, you try to learn HS nomenclature. There are some tools provided by a World Customs Organization that can help you to be more familiar with HS classification. So I will encourage you to deal with with World Customs Organization tools on classification, so that you can be more conversant with HS nomenclature. It's the basis, because to use Appendix 4, you need to know the HS code of your product. And when you have one or two products, it's not complicated to know what is the HS code of this product. You can just try to use HS nomenclature and be able to fix the HS code of your products. It's very important to know that. There are many ways to know the HS code of your product. And based on the HS code of the product, now you can go to Appendix 4 and see what rule apply for your product. If you know that and you know how to apply the rule, then you can make sure that your product qualifies or not. That's the summary in terms of rules of origin. But since we have determined the origin of the product, the next step is to certify the origin of the product. Because one thing is to determine the origin of the product, but the other thing is to certify or to prove that this product is really originating. So we go through the certification process. To certify the product, we use proofs of origin. We have two kinds of proofs of origin. The first one is the certificate of origin. The certificate of origin is provided by the designated competent authority. In Ghana, I think it's customs. So it's customs as designated competent authority, we can certify the origin of the product by issuing the certificate of origin. The second kind of proof of origin is what we call origin declaration. Origin declaration is issued by exporter. So AfCFTA gives possibility to exporters, SMEs like you, to certify by your own means your product by using what we call origin declaration. Okay? But origin declaration can be issued by two categories of exporters. The first category is what we call agreed exporter. Agreed exporter, you should be agreed by the designated competent authority. So like in Ghana, to become a agreed exporter, customs, JRA, customs should grant you this capacity of being able to certify your product. The second category, and you know, there is a difference between agreed exporters and other exporters. Other exporters can certify their product, but only for goods with a value under than $5,000. I repeat, when your goods have a value of less than $5,000, you can certify your product. But above this value, you cannot certify your product unless you are an agreed exporter. If you are an agreed exporter, yes, you can certify your product, even the value is beyond $5,000. Okay? So that is, in summary, how the products are certified. They are certified by two kinds of proof of origin: certificate of origin, which is issued by the designated competent authority, and origin declaration, which is issued by the exporter. So I think this is the most important information I wanted to provide to you. I know that rules of origin is like a big ocean. You cannot know everything the same day or the first day. No, you need to attend meetings, you need to read, document, so that you improve your knowledge. So I will really recommend you, I will encourage you to read, to document on rules of origin. I'm always able to discuss with you. You can come, you can contact me to discuss with you on the classification of your product. That is the basis, as I've already mentioned. Come and discuss with me so that you can fix the HS code of your product. Based on that, you can use Appendix 4 on rules of origin so that you can know which rule apply for your product. Thank you so much.
Let's do it better for him, please. Yeah. Very complex subject, rules of origin. So we move to the next one, which is transacting business through the Pan-African Payment Settlement Systems, that's a PAPS, and Workup Program. I am told that that's supposed to be virtual. That's not happening. Okay, so the next one is to promoting gender and youth responsive intra-African trade. And we are going to invite our facilitator, Ms. Florence Mulinga Sinyangwe, gender and trade expert from the AfCFTA Secretariat. Let's put our hands together for her, please. Ms. Florence. Let's clap for her once more. Yesterday, she led us through one important exercise, and today she's going to lead us through another important exercise. Florence, always a pleasure.
So that I don't, So that I don't need to, okay. Thanks. Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to take this opportunity to thank the organizers of the event for inviting the Secretariat. As I always share with people, the Secretariat cannot exist without you, our people, our SMEs, so we need you as much as you also need the work that we do. Thank you very much. So my talk is to share a little bit on the background of the AfCFTA, in case there are some of the SMEs that have no background, so it will be a few background. Then after that, I'm going to talk about the status of women in trade. Then I'm going to talk about some of the challenges that we've done, and then I'll discuss what the institution has put in place so that gender issues, youth issues are mainstreamed in all of these agreements. And then I'll talk a little bit about the agreement on women and youth in trade, and I'll talk a little bit about the digital trade agreement, and I'll also talk a little bit about what we hope to achieve once the implementation of the agreement is in place. But as I go through, please feel free to ask any questions. You can raise your hand when you don't understand anything, because it's about me making sure that you have as much information as you can. This is an opportunity. We might not have this opportunity again to share this information. So it will be kind of like a classroom relationship, nothing, just building our knowledge and capacity. So to start with, I will ask a simple question. How many of us know about the Agenda 2063? Professor, okay. I think we have two colleagues. Wow. Okay, it's very sad to see this because without the Agenda 2063, the AfCFTA will not be here. So the AU, which is the mother body of the AfCFTA, has this big agenda that has a number of programs and initiatives that they've put in place to kind of just push the Africa's development so that Africa will be the global powerhouse of the future. And one of these initiatives is actually the AfCFTA. So as my chief of staff mentioned yesterday, it has about 1.3 billion people brought together under a single market, 3.4 billion right now. But it's envisioned that in future, in 2035, this is going to increase to like 4.5 billion of income. If people work together, not really people, but member states, because the AfCFTA works with member states work together and say we are going to push this and put in place policies, strategies that are going to make this work, that is going to make it work for you. Because if things don't work for you, we're not going to achieve this. We are saying we're going to uplift about 30 million people out of poverty. How do we do that? So this is going to be achieved through trade, and it is hoped that that's what's going to make Africa great. So if you may just go on the slide, the overview. So just for your information, we are 55 member states of the African Union, and 54 have signed to say we are interested in this agreement. And 47 out of the 54 have signed through the presidents to say we are going to implement. So when you ratify, it simply says each member state that has ratified, you are now legally bound as a country to ensure that the AfCFTA works. So if what you've ratified under trade in goods, you have to implement it. What you've ratified under the trading services, you have to ratify it, so on and so forth. So I remember somebody yesterday was to mention that the AfCFTA and National Implementation Unit are like disorganized, but the AfCFTA works with the member countries through the Ministries of Trade or Foreign Affairs, but the member countries, it's up to their duty to work with the private sector through their consultation, through the negotiation process. Though in those negotiations, it's a government official who's going to speak, but they have to speak on what the private sector wants to be represented in those agreements. So that even when it comes to implementation, you're going to say, yes, this is what we said is going to be put. So they put on new policies and things like that to make the implementation of these agreements work. So as most of this, it's most of the stuff that Chief had mentioned, the agreement was signed in March 2018. And within a year, in May 2019, it was ratified by 24 member states, and it entered into force. So if people didn't sign or ratify, it would have just, oh, I've signed, I think it's interesting, but let's just bag it. But the fact that they ratified it, it means, oh, as a country, I've given my word, my word of honor that we are going to do this, so you can't back out now. Yeah. So why are we here? We are here, I don't see the slides moving. Okay, I can be controlling it myself.
Yours is...
Yeah.
Maybe you can stand.
Can I use this?
I doubt it's working, so I think we have to regulate it from the back.
Okay.
Yeah. But yours is here. So
yeah, that's why I brought my
here.
So maybe if we can move to slide 5, please. Okay. I don't know if Prof has the old slide, but I'm having a very beautiful slide here. Anyway, let's go for it. So why are we here? I'll just give a brief statistics. So according to the World Bank, it says 90% of businesses in Africa are SMEs. So you can imagine the whole business community, 90% is you people, and 10% are the big firms. So relatively, we can compare with other regions, or like the United States of America, SMEs are 53%. In Europe, 65%. You can imagine you provide jobs for the people of Africa. About 60 to 80% of the jobs in Africa are provided by your people. And then you make a contribution of 40% for the DUP, you see? So you can just imagine how much you are great. So because of your huge capacity and your huge potential to change Africa, the AU has prioritized SMEs, has prioritized the youth, has prioritized the women, because we understand from the business perspective that these are the people that's going to make it work. Imagine if we just worked with the 10%. It won't make sense, right? We are going to lose out. So you are the AfCFTA, and you are the people who are going to make it work. So my talk today is going to look more on the marginalized, and these are the women. Sorry, men, I know you are there, but it's the women. Gender is about women and men, but it's about also men helping women to make it happen, and we're also looking at the youth, because the youth are the future, and over 60% of the population in Africa is youth. So we are the youth, we are the AfCFTA. So most of the statistics, next slide. The UN statistics, it talks about it will take about 50 years to reach gender parity, gender equality, and that it will also take about 118 years to find true equality. Can you imagine? Are we ready to wait that long? 50 years, 118, seriously. So we have to work outside our box. We have to work outside the ordinary. That's what the AfCFTA is trying to do. Our change needs to happen now. Change needs to happen now with this generation, so that you are able to say, yes, we've achieved the parity, not to wait for the next generation, you see? Yeah, so we don't want to go with these statistics. Off with these statistics. We are going to make a new leaf with gender as a tool of development, and make parity happen, and make the young people to be involved in the trade. So we know that this cannot be achieved if we overlook the challenges that you, the people, are facing when trading with each other. So I'm just going to highlight a few challenges, and then we are going to also highlight how these challenges are going to be tackled through the AfCFTA. So we know as youth, I know we come from different backgrounds. I'll just maybe pose this question to the audience, women. How many in their country, we are from different countries, how many from our countries we know that it's difficult for a woman to get land because you are a woman? How many have experienced this? Because you can just be talking and it's not there. From where we come from, our communities, in the villages, is there some rule, custom, tradition that may say, no, a woman cannot own land, it has to always fall into a son, a father, and not a daughter, something like that? Anyone with that experience? We all can own land, we have no challenges with that, access to land. So
no village in Ghana, no Zimbabwe, no Tanzania.
They've said no.
Nigeria.
Okay, it's good that these have been, oh, there's one here. Where are you from? Okay, if you can share with us, please.
Yes, I'll speak for the women here. So from where I'm coming from, most women are not allowed to own lands. So men are basically the heads, and then they have to always be under them.
Exactly.
So
Thank you.
I can confirm to that.
Yes. So you see, such customs do exist, even in my country. They are matrilineal, and they also have patrilineal customs. Those which are matrilineal, that's fine. But those which are patrilineal, you find that you cannot own your father's land. Only if let's say my father has only females, that means all the children will not take that land. It has to be our cousins or something like that, which is not right. So this is what we're saying, that through the AfCFTA, through certain protocols.
Yeah, there may be people, she said in her country, so I'm saying some may be wondering, what country are you from?
Thank you. I'm from Zambia. Fortunately, I'm from the matrilineal side. Yeah, so I'm from Zambia. But if it's patrilineal, if a man doesn't have male children, that means his brother's children would take over whatever resources. But if you're matrilineal, that means on your mom's side, that's where you inherit stuff. That's where you inherit chiefdoms, that's where you inherit, all those kind of things. So what we are saying is, so for example, if we have such traditions, right? So through the protocol, since let's say Zambia has ratified this agreement, we are going to go to our policies and review some of these traditional norms through consultations, because you just don't impose these things. It has to be through a consultative process, so that somehow we do away or we lift and change these policies, or we improve, so that that particular policy is able to say, if a male child has access to certain financial things that they need to access, a female child should access it. If a male child has access to land, even a male person should. So these are the kind of policy improvement or doing away that's going to be achieved through some of these agreements. We know that we have lack of adequate access to finance and business networks. Why? Because mostly you find that because the youth and the women don't have collateral, don't have much financial muscle to participate. So you find that our male folk and those who have this muscle will be able to participate more than women. You find that women will forever be marginalized, or forever be SMEs, MSMEs, and they will not grow out of this to be big multinational businesses. Then we also have complex legal frameworks. Well and good, we are going, like we've negotiated these frameworks, you find that if I ask you, what is the content in this AfCFTA agreement? You find that most people that need to use them, most MSMEs, small businesses, they have no idea, you see? So it's up to these frameworks to put up also structures whereby I know maybe my sister is doing well in a business, but they have no time, or maybe they can't afford to understand the legal jargon or the way the words are framed in this particular agreement. There should be a resource office whereby this woman, this young person can come, and I'm able to make it brief and easily understandable. To say, this jargon that you see is actually saying this, like the way my brother just explained about the rules of origin. In a few 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you're able to understand easily that this is what I'm supposed to do. You ask questions and things like that, unlike if I offered the complex agreement for you to go with. Then during the COVID, I think a number of us businesses were very affected. And most of us running households, we are not able to meet ends meet. If I can just maybe have a question, how many are in the tourism sector? Anyone running a hotel? Tourism, yes. You see, she can bear with me to say business was tough. Why? Because of the nature of the business, how you had to do it. Some is the way maybe you run your business. You find that because it's something that could not happen online, it has to be physically to do it. It couldn't happen. So we need to find ways through these agreements to be able to safeguard these shocks on businesses, so that if some other shock happened like that in the future, we know a better way to do it. We train our women on how to have the digital platform, how to engage with other businesses. Even if there's a shock, business continues and there's less negative impact. So we are also saying most of us SMEs are not aware of what the other SME is doing, even just within a country, within Ghana. It's hard for us to know what the other SME is doing. Why? We are not digitally present. I cannot find you if I don't physically meet you. So that's a huge challenge. If you had a platform or way to know that even if I'm here, there's a sister there, there's a young brother there, I'm able to get these resources, I'm able to supply this, I'm able to contribute to the supply chain, it's easy to improve business like that. But because of the way things are, it can't happen. So that's something that's also going to be worked on. And then I spoke of the cultural norms and things like that. So those are things that are also going to be considered. And then also our universities in Africa. We are also challenging our professors, our many universities to say, can we improve the curriculum? Can we develop things that are going to make it work? Not just me, I don't know whether I'll learn like 7 books and yet just pack them for the life, I will never even use them again. So it's good to see professor dealing with SMEs, something that's workable, right? Improving our businesses, empowering knowledge for us. These are the things that you need. You need the skill for you to apply yourself in the business. So it's a good thing, and let's just clap for them for giving us this opportunity. So it's big, absolutely. These are the kind of initiatives that we need to be having if we have to develop as Africa. Other challenges, statistics. It's hard in Africa. I think many of my African countries can bear with me to say stats are hard to find, for you to find good policies that will guide and really tackle challenges. So what we are saying in this protocol, some of these things we're saying, let's have statistics ready. Statistics about men in trade, statistics about women in trade, statistics on how many young people are doing trade. The disaggregated statistics that are going to guide proper policy implementation, planning, and things like that. Also, our regulatory requirements as a country. How good are they for the young people, for the startups, for the women, for the men in businesses? You'll find that many our small businesses, MSME, I have a great product, I have everything, but you find that for me to just register, just the registration process, the regulations are not helping me at all. You see? So we need to simplify. We're not saying do away with it, because the regulations are there also to serve a purpose, but we are saying let's make them friendly for our young people. Let's make it friendly for our women. Let's make it friendly for our SMEs. So now we'll come back to the issue at hand, which is very interesting, which is gender and youth. So I'll just simply speak about the background, why this is important, and that's why it needs to be addressed. So the African Union have recognized the increasing population, youth population in Africa. So they know that these are a source potential and a powerhouse for the future, for the development of Africa. And they've also recognized the critical role that women and youth as entrepreneurs are contributing to African development. So at the 13th extraordinary session that was held in December 2020, they made a commitment. So the presidents sat together and made a commitment to say, we know we've been talking we've been talking trade. Now, let's broaden the scope of the AfCFTA, so that we ensure that we put in our young people to be to be mainstreamed in the agreement. our women to be mainstreamed in the agreement, and SMEs. These were specifically chosen. They didn't say no women, they said young people, women, and SMEs. So our president noted that you needed to be brought in on board, specifically. How do we do this? We need a specific protocol that's going to address them specifically. So a protocol has to be negotiated, and that's how we are going to find this Aspiration 6 under the Agenda 2063, as I said. Since AfCFTA is a flagship, just know that it's an intervention tool to achieve the Agenda 2063 is the bigger umbrella. So now, how is the AfCFTA ensuring that there's inclusivity in doing business or empowering the youth or empowering the SMEs? How many people heard of the Youth Symposium, AfCFTA Youth Symposium? This is really saddening. Only 4 people. This was for young people, this was for SMEs. Seriously, Professor, I can only see 4 hands. How many people heard about the AfCFTA Youth Symposium? Oh. Anyway, I'll talk about it so that next year you can engage. So through the Secretary General's office, he has also a heart for young people. They have dedicated a forum only for young people, young entrepreneurs, young traders, young SMEs, young MSMEs. So it's going to be happening annually. And this platform is a platform for young people across Africa, not old people, not women, no, only young people, to showcase whatever product you have, whatever skill you have, and also it's also a platform for you to interact with some of the prominent members in the AfCFTA, such as the Secretary General himself, like the previous Youth Symposium. Young people like yourselves were able to interact by asking him questions, also asking him the challenges that you are facing that you feel AfCFTA should be able to address. So this is going to continue. This platform will also be a platform for you to be able to engage with would-be investors, and also you'll be able to close some of the business deal. This platform will be specifically for young people. Whatever you are trading, whatever entrepreneurship or innovation that you have to improve trade, it will be your platform. So that you own it. You are there. You are given a platform to expose whatever trade activity you are involved in. They're not forgetting our mothers, our women. There's also a conference that has been put in place, which is being held by the president of Tanzania, who is a woman president, is the champion of this. Last year, this conference took place in Tanzania. This year, we hope to have one as well before the end of the year. So as a woman, this is something that you need to watch out. All the women are going to come, you're going to meet different leaders, you're going to interact them, you're also going to get your products, you're going to also meet with other businesses, you're going to be connecting to other value chains. As you've heard, it's all about being connected to a value chain so that you're able to get business deal, market connectivity. You see, if you don't have, you don't interact in the value chain. You have a small market, but through value chains, you can have bigger markets through market connectivity. You are able to move from one regional value chain to another, even a continental value chain. Then there's also Intra-Africa Trade Fair. This Intra-Africa Trade Fair, of course, it's not specifically about the youth, neither is it specifically about the women, but they've put certain slots, each partner that comes on board, There's a certain percentage that is set aside to say we want young businesses, we want young people to be able to showcase, to be able to interact, so that there's business to business deals, there's also business to government deals, there's also networking, there's also sharing of skills. So all these are being put in place so that we just remove all these barriers that the young people and the women are facing, or young businesses, small SMEs are facing. Then we also have the business forum. It's also a very big forum. I don't know how many participated or heard of it. It was, it happened in February in Cape Town. AfCFTA Business Forum. Are you aware of it? At least there's a gentleman there, but Professor knows everything, but my audience, I want them to know. At least there's a gentleman here who knows. So the whole entire Africa went to Cape Town. So you can imagine how many multi-million-dollar businesses that you are going to meet you with a great product. How many multi-million-dollar maybe suppliers you are going to meet to get the much required resource that you need so that you produce a product at a cheaper price. So through all these forums that the AfCFTA has put, it's giving a platform for young businesses, it's giving a platform for young people and for women. There's also initiatives such as this fora that the AfCFTA is putting in place. That they're telling me that has put in place, which is key, capacity building and advocacy initiatives. We need to reach out to as many young people as them, and then for them also to be able to trade, they need to know what are the standards required. What are the requirements? What are the safeguard measures to put in place? How do we safeguard our businesses? Maybe if there's an influx, things like that. We need to be empowered to say, okay, if you want to export, let's say, a meat product, what kind of abattoir should the animal be killed in? How should it be preserved? And how should it be shipped? You need that kind of capacity. If you're producing lotions, what kind of chemicals goes in? How safe is it for the people that's going to consume it? How is it well packaged and things like that? We also have a deliberate program, which is the Young Women and Men Mentorship Program, meaning, you know, we have very well with knowledgeable leaders in the AfCFTA. But then how are we going to make sure that that knowledge is also trickled down to the young people so that there's knowledge transfer? There's a program where young people are enrolled in the Secretariat so that they're able to interact and learn the work of the Secretariat, specifically for young men and young women. And we also have a policy when it comes to employment in the Secretariat that it should be 50-50, 50 women, 50% men. There's no 60-40 or whatever, no. It has to be 50%, 50%. And we are happy to say that the SG is so honoring this, and right now it's about almost 50, 49 point something reaching to women, yes. So that's really great, and it shows that we are really having this gender parity that we are talking about. Yeah. Yes, there's also youth. Yes. That's true. That's true. There's also a very huge presence of young people in the Secretariat. And there will be very few of us when we reach gray hair. So you know the Secretariat is for young people, really. So there's increased mobilization of resources. Also, there's the SG is tirelessly discussing with partners so that they just secure money to have as many activities as they can, so that we have more resources for young people, activities that cover young people, such as the Youth Symposium, such as the Women Conference, such as the Business Forum for businesses to meet with multi-billion-dollar businesses and make it big. And then we also have digital technology and innovation. You know, to cover the digital gap, You need to know how to do trade on the platform. How can you export? How can you import? How can you also expose your business digitally? How safe it is? You know, it's also talking about safety. How do you protect yourself and things like that? So there's a whole protocol on digital trade that's under discussion. So I'll quickly rush through to the protocol on women and youth. So to make this happen, we have been negotiating a protocol on women and youth, and it has really advanced, hoping that it will be adopted next year by the heads of states and government, because it's really advanced, a draft. And this is going to allow you to have inclusive, to be included in high-level decision-making processes, for you to have availability of information, for you to be focused on research in the products that you do. You have that kind of information. Also to be assisted with technical assistance, capacity building, and also to just have a mechanism that's going to prevent, discourage, and address all forms of discrimination for the women and young people. And also to encourage infrastructure development, so that the infrastructure that's going to be developed, it should be inclusive. They should have infrastructure that's okay for a person who is handicapped or differently abled. It should have infrastructure that a woman or a young mom is able to trade. There's storage facilities, they're able to shower, there's a trading shelter, they're able to nurse their children and things like that. So these are the kind of infrastructure that we need. That's going to ensure that we are fully participating in trade. So now, just to conclude, for us to have a successful implementation, we are going to ensure that we have conducive environment for our women. We have expansion for market base. You are able to get your inputs at a cheap price so that your trading costs go down. You are able to maximize profits, increase your income, and also employ more people. We are also calling for value addition, so that by, of course, following the rules of origin. We are also calling for increased competitiveness by being immersed in these value chains, regional value chain, continental value chain. We are also going to diversify our business by having innovation. Innovation is going to make it overcome some of the challenges that we are having. And we are going to have skills and knowledge exchange. We are going to also make it easier to have imports. I think I end there. I will just rush through it, but thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, any questions?
For women and youth, and so questions, yes? And men.
Thank you very much. I'm Kingsley Amwa. Yes, with regards to the inclusion and engagement of women and youth, what strategy has your office has in place after the adoption of this draft proposal that you can possibly engage across Africa?
Okay.
Targeting all the after coordinating offices or agencies across Africa to have in place manuals that will demystify the rules of origin. You know, it is a technical section of this agreement, so that women and youth can easily understand and facilitate the exports of their products. Thank you very much.
I'm Gabriel Edu from working with straps and buckles. I'd want to know on your point of importation and exportation, and what transportation channels have been laid in place to actually import from other countries and also export same.
Sorry, if you can come again.
I want to know what transportation channels.
Channels.
Yes, be it rail, be it by water, be it by air. Because it's very difficult to move within African countries. So if you can elaborate on that, that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other? Any other question? Yeah. And we keep the questions very brief.
My question is, what problem do AfTA have that we entrepreneurs can take advantage of and create business, which will generate income for us, at the same time solve the problem of AfTA? Because by doing so, then together we can actually solve the problem and really make it possible for other young ones also to come on board. That is what I'm interested in.
Any
That's
other
it.
question?
I think that's it for this round.
Okay, thank you. So I'll start with the engagement. So maybe not to spill the beans, but the way it is, the framework, how to make it work. So it has a number of provisions, but then we are going to work with our national countries to make sure that they implement. But as a secretariat, there's a deliberate programs that's still under discussion, like we should have an office. Maybe it will be in the secretariat, or maybe it will be held by a third party, where we have a business development center. So that when you come, for example, you have experts who are going to say, this is how you write a business proposal. If you want financial resources, this is how you go about it. This is how you can engage the banks or things like that. Or you want to find out about this market, they are able to provide you with that kind of information. So this will be specifically for SMEs, whether women or female, but it will cover more female young people. But then you're able to come, and there's an expert that has done most of the research. And where you are struggling, you say, I'm struggling, I'm trying to get this. They will be dedicated to look at your proposal, to work with you and make sure that you are able to do that. But that has not been established yet, but it's in the pipeline as these negotiations are going. Import-export channels. Yes, I know. Transportation is a nightmare in Africa. Even for you to just travel and just be in a place, you go to Europe, come back, go wherever, and you're like, hey, but you're just traveling within Africa. As I mentioned, the Agenda 2063, if you go maybe at the AU website, you're going to see that there's other initiatives, not only through trade, but other initiatives that are looking at infrastructure, transportation, things like that. So they are thinking of having a one intra-Africa speed train in the years to come, so that you have a train that's going to be moving across Africa. That's why it's the Vision 2063. And we are also hoping that we are going to have, I don't know why people are shaking. Be positive. How are you going to achieve it if you're not positive? My brothers and sisters, my African brothers and sisters, we can do this. Yes, so we are also envisioning that there's going to be one airline where to make travel easy for Africa. You don't need to make all these things. So there's a number of initiative programs that are going to respond to the infrastructure transport challenges that are hindering our businesses. Also at regional level and national level, you know there's a trade facilitation agreement. It's addressing some of these issues at national level. And also they say what's existing problem for the AfCFTA that the young people can help and increase trade. I think it's the export of raw materials. We are always trading with little value addition. And you know, the world takes it, they add it, and they bring it back at an exorbitant price. I think that's something that young people can come in and help us. Oh, the problem that we have. Well, as you know, the Secretariat is actually does not trade in anything. So it's more like we are like a Ministry of Trade. They are not actually the people that are trading. We are facilitating trade. So we don't have a problem when it comes to trade that you can help with, but you are helping us through our conversations and discussing to address the problems that our people are having. But as an organization, we do not trade in anything. We trade in information. Yes, is there any other question?
We can take the next session and then go.
Okay.
Is your protocol addressing anything cultural, traditional? Because the issue he raised, for instance, in the Upper West region, where the women are not supposed to own lands, the reasons that are being given by their husbands is that the husband owns the land, and once they're married to you, you are part of the family. An institution did a very serious documentary that highlighted the poverty and all that.
Well,
is the protocol addressing those cultural issues?
It kind of goes over that, but as you know, culture is something sensitive. And at national level, you can't impose a culture on. You need to trust and respect, first of all, culture, but at the same time, through our national dialoguing processes. So we are saying, if women are included at national level in high-level decision-making, let's say, for example, a culture minister is a woman, and even when they are addressing national strategies, women are present. These are the issues that they can bring before even a chief being invited from that region to say, our chief, we know this has been our custom and tradition, but it's something that's killing us as women. So how do we go about it? And through deliberation and just discussion, you can find an amicable way of improving. We can always improve. You're not saying our cultures are bad, but we can improve something restrictive to make it better. Yes.
And then, the last one. Do you have anybody, any question, please, before we discharge Florence? How are you getting data collection, particularly from women in cross-border trade? Because that's quite informal. Most of them are involved in informal. And customs don't record some of these data involving the informal sector.
Yes, as I mentioned, it's still quite a challenge. It's an existing challenge. So this is something that we are now trying to develop so that we have this kind of development. But at regional level, because we have different number of recs that are still part of the continental. If you look at COMESA, they've already started getting data on cross-border trade. Like there's trade information desks that are deliberately put at border points where small businesses can go and register, but also those, there's a sort of agreement that comes in where you can trade for goods, maybe say under 2,000, you can go for free. There's that agreement between borders, so it's easy to capture that kind of information. But at continental level, we are yet. But as a secretariat, we already need to start developing statistics in this regard so that we can also guide policy formulation as well.
Okay. If we don't have any question for Florence any longer, can we discharge her? Let's put our hands together and thank Florence for that wonderful and extensive presentation. Ms. Florence Mulenga Sinyengwe is a gender and trade expert with the AfCFTA Secretariat. As she mentioned, she's also from Zambia. Thank you. Let's put our hands together once again for her, please. Next, Professor Kenneth Ofuribuating is going to lead us through a side visit. We'll put our hands together and welcome him for that quickly. Let's welcome him, please, with a big round of applause. Senior Lecturer, School of Business, GIMPA.
All right. Please tell those outside, this is the time we need you most. Please tell all those outside to come in because I'm going to select people randomly to tell us what you found when you went out for the industrial tour. Please call everyone. So it's going to be a very quick session because time is fast spent. And so we are starting with group one. Group one, who is going to volunteer? First, I want to see if you are not volunteering, then I'll call names. Group one.
Group one.
Officer, call me that my Nigerian friend, please. Is it Togo? Where to?
Shall we come inside, please? Those of us outside, please. Let's come inside.
Come inside, please.
Shall we all be seated, please? Let's get inside. Prof can be here, but the rest of us, please, let's get inside for this section. Very, very important.
Okay, so group one. Who is coming? You just come up here briefly with me here and then make a short presentation of what you found.
Oh, okay.
You say? Yes, Group 1 went to Bullock Industries, and that's North Kanishi. Please.
Bullock Industries, North Kanishi.
North Kanishi, where are you?
A representative, where are you, please?
We have Mary Aku, Isaac Damson.
Mary Aku, Isaac.
Yomfo Kofi Efu. Victoria Love. Where are they? Sham Squatchy. Where is Sham Squatchy? You are here. Oh, then Oga immediately come. Oh, I found one. So please, let's give him applause.
Let's give him a big round of applause.
No, you come this way so that, and the cameraman, please take very nice picture of him, okay? As he comes. I can see your toilet, sorry. Okay, please.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah. We went to Bullock, that's Nella Clothings, and then, well, he took us around, and then we had some chat with the CEO, where he begins and where he is now and where he wants to go to. Actually, it was a dream that he had, and then he implemented it. So far, he has grown to become one of the biggest clothing companies in the country. And also, I think it's one of the companies that rocks shoulders with the big boys out there, because that's the only company that had a place at the Accra Mall when it was first built and then rolled out. All the companies were multinationals, international companies. He's the only local company to have a store there. And he was telling us the challenges that he went through. As in application, he sent 4 applications there, and luckily for him, the last one, he met one of the CEOs, the founders of the place. And the man was like, luckily for him, when he got there, the secretary wasn't there. If the secretary has been around, he won't get access to the man. Because the secretary wasn't there, he walked in, and he met the man, and they had a chat. And it was like, even there, he said, the man wanted to tell him that, I'm sorry, there's no space for you. But for the grace of God, it didn't happen that way. And he asked, where are the application? He went through it, there was none. He said, okay, I came prepared. So this is the one. If you can't find it, I'm giving this to you. Terminate it to be given to the people who are working on the facility to approve it. And they did so for him. And he said when it was about a month for the place to be officially launched and commissioned, his place was ready, and most of the international firms were still struggling to finish up their stores. So that was a success story that he shares with us. And with the after, I think he also mentioned most of the challenges that we are mentioning here. So he wants to see how best those things can be addressed so that it will ease up trading among the countries on the continent in terms of logistics and stuff like that. And he says more on the European, American market than the local meaning the African continent. But now they do most things online and stuff like that. So this is something that we observe, and then I think this conference can also capture it moving forward to see how best trade facilitation can be very smooth on the continent. Thank you.
So, before you go, materials, where did they get them from? Any exportation?
Yeah, the export and the materials they get from, is a mix. Some imported, some locally. Yeah, but between me and you, we know our local manufacture of textiles is not what we are expecting. So if you want your business to move on smoothly, it's better you consider importation as well. If not, so you might fold up along the line. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any Group 1 member who wants to add something to what our brother presented? Uncle, thank you very much. Yes, please. The mic, is it closer? You can just give it to.
Thank you. Just to add to what our colleague said, we also looked at inclusion at the place and realized that he has a young team, especially those at the helm of affairs. Most of them are youth. Not most of them, all of them are youth. And then he also has a formal working environment. He has an administration and then a studio. He took us to see the machinery that they put to work. We realized that the machines that he is employing on his job may lead to layoffs along the line. So there is need for people to diversify their skills if they want to remain employable. Then looking at integration, he said it is not impossible for people in his line of work to come together and work. But then there is need for resources, there is need for experience, and then there is need for standards. So that's something we picked up. Then looking at cultural diversity in integration, as in moving on to other countries or working in other countries, he said there is need for adaptability. In his clothing line, he makes it to suit the African environment. But we know that in the different African countries, they have their own way of dressing. And so he has to adapt to the culture if he has to stay on in the job. So that is something we can also pick up from here. Then looking at the future of business, he said that growth can kill. And that is because we do not develop, most CEOs or SMEs do not develop with a company. As a company grows, you also have to enlarge and develop with it. But if you stay with what you started with, the initial tools that you started with, the company may grow and then you may be overwhelmed and you may fold up. So there is need to grow with the company. And then looking at mentorship and partnership, he says that yes, there are trade secrets, but if we are not able to share knowledge, then we are not able to keep businesses growing even when we die. Because you may start a business, you die, and then in Africa, or let me speak for Ghana, we see that the business falls up. But then when you share your knowledge, the business continues to grow after you. So these are some of the things we want to add.
You know, there's a saying when I was in Nigeria, a Yoruba man told me that for African, give him your fruit, don't give him your seed. And so that is what we are talking about. There's something we call dissemination risk. You know, dissemination risk. Yeah, so sometimes when they get your know-how, they topple you out of business. And I met a man in Tema who was insisting that he was selling his hotel, very nice, but he says his children, they are not serious. He knows when he dies, it will collapse. He doesn't want it to go. He wants to sell it today so that you enjoy the money before he leaves. You know, so it's possible. These are things happening. All right, thank you very much for that presentation. So the second group, let's go to group 2, Nkulenu. Yes, group 2. So who is willing?
Group 2, Nkulenu. Let's put our hands together for Nkulenu. I hope they brought some palm oil too. Thank you.
Okay, we went to Nkulenu Industries Limited, and it was established in 1942 by Madam Esther Oklu, popularly known as Nkulenu. Literally means eye or vision, and the industry is 81 years old. They have 120 to 130 staff from top to bottom. With their shareholding, the family holds 51% and still graduating. The Nkulenu industry have their constant supplies of palm fruits, and it comes in sacks, big sacks. The sack is being weighed, and they do sorting by picking the bad ones out from the good ones. They also scale the bad ones for the suppliers to know the cost and subtract it from the actual price. The palm fruit is washed and start processing. They don't use fire to cook it, but use steam to cook the palm fruit. Again, the chaff is used as fiber and fuel for the steam machine. Furthermore, most of their machines are locally made. After taking the extract from the cooked palm fruit, it goes through sterilization. The sterilization takes 121 degrees Celsius. The retort or sterilization is checked every 10 minutes. From this stage, it goes back to washing. They wash their cans again. Then it is ready for labeling, coding, and packaging. We were also taken to the Gakenke, Fanti Kenke, and Bankun and Gari production for export. Marmalade is also manufactured, but it is based on order by the countries. They have a drying department which also takes care of consommé, that's cocoyam leaves, Hausa cocoa flour, Banku flour, and also fermented corn flour for exports. You know, you may think Nkulenu does only palm extract, but not that alone. They also do palm wine. Some of the countries they export the products to are Asia, UK, Liberia, Nigeria, South Africa, USA, and Kenya. In a nutshell, we realize that Nkulenu Industries Limited is really promoting made in Ghana products. Thank you.
Wow, I didn't know she's... All right. So, any additions from the group? Or you think this is enough summary? Is there any other thing you feel you can add? Okay, please. Mm-hmm.
The palm tree, if I should put it that way. They get a palm fruit and use that to process their palm nuts puree. They get the palm wine from the same palm tree. Mm-hmm. You know, they use the chaff to fuel, so it's more like a value addition to fuel their steam, you know, processing. And I think they are making the best out of it. I'm sure they can even do a lot more if they try and go into research. And so it's, for me, a question of how are we leveraging on the resources or the raw materials we have? Are we just using, you know, using it primarily for what we wanted it, or we are exploring getting additional value? Like someone said, his yam, if it's 10 cedis, the 2 cedis should give him that value by converting it into some form of biogas or something. But yeah, I think we can get more value out of the raw materials that we have if only we are ready to do the research and get the benefit out of it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. So any kind of sustainability, like do you think what they are doing is sustainable?
Oh, wow. I was about to add on, and in fact, you've asked me a question.
The same question, okay.
Okay, so in terms of sustainability, I feel they have diversified a lot. We all thought Nkulenu was into palm-based stuff, but when we went there, we realized now they have shifted from palm-based. They are doing gari, and the gari, they don't process it themselves. So they outsource the gari. They pass it through heat, then they package it. They are now doing the banku and exporting. So in fact, they have really diversified. This is to help us as entrepreneurs as we are here. We don't have to focus on just one thing. If you want to expand our revenue base and try and be, make money, we should diversify and add other things so that we can employ more people and make the economy grow. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. What's your name?
My name is Linda.
Okay. What do you see this? How will you interpret this? We know it's water. How will you interpret this? Yes. So half full. Yes, but I'm happy you are talking about what is already in it too. Most often we focus on the empty part, and that's what is killing us. So you see, the presentation is telling us how they take advantage of what we have. And this is what is killing most Ghanaians. We always emphasize on what we don't have. And that one is a kind of deficit-based, development. But you need to focus on what we call asset-based. What do you have as an asset? And I always use Amejope as an example. You see, just a young man seeing the asset they have, develop that community with that walkover. The canopy walk, the canopy walk. You can see a number of people going there. If I tell you the amount the community is making in every month, it's not a joke. And that young man is my younger brother. So anytime you go to climb that, part comes to my family. Okay, so just know that. This is what we call an asset base. Anyway, let me drink some. All right, so let's continue now. Group 3. That is those who went to Amasaman, the Amasaman group. That's Tiwajo. Amasaman group. Thank you. Let's clap for. Are you among the group? Ask a question. Okay, please. Madam, you come while he asks the question. Yes. Okay, so, okay, all right. We'll consider that.
Prof, just to say, because I just got a text and I'm sure Florence, the house is going to need you shortly because it appears that we went to goods. Everything is about production. There we got a message about, what about servicing? I'm going to spare you because your visit was of goods. But I want Florence to get ready, prep for a question on servicing, particularly for our young women and young people who are into servicing. Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, we went to Tiwa Joe Complain. They are into cosmetics. They do black soap and cream. So we asked about our complaint. We asked about the way they produce and the way they move the market. So she told us a lot of things, and I think I learned a lot of things from her. They are into contract manufacturing. They like, she said, contract manufacturing is the key to export. Then she mentioned like Amazon, Natural, something. So she told us about the packaging, that she got her packaging because of the piracy. Then she told us about cash flowing maybe you need a discount, that you need to give discount to shops because of the question is, how do you get your money from the shops? You know, when they get something on credit. So how do you get your money back? She said, okay, you can do cash discount to shops so that you can get your money back. Then she talked about do free products, that she can do free products for people so that they can actually get a good feedback. Then she told us how they got their raw material. And then I asked a question about you know, when you are into production and people are asking about your product. I asked her, if you are doing production and your staff are there, how do you secure your recipe? And she said you can label your product with another name. You tag it with another name so that people will not know what you're using. I think I'm right. Then she told us about our vision and mission, that we must have plan about it. Then she believed in competition and believed in herself. So, and she said the major problem is we don't make our product to be available. Most especially, that is what kills Ghanaians manufacturers small scale, that we should make sure that our product is available in anywhere, in any shops. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additions? Oh yes, okay, please.
Okay, Prof. She said the company started 16 years ago, and their focus was the black soap, black soap. And she said initially they struggled with getting people to understand the black soap, especially in South Africa. When they mentioned black soap, people thought they were being racist. So they had to...
So the black soup, is it that alata soup? Or?
Yes.
Oh, you call it alata soup. Okay, sorry.
So they had to keep explaining before people got that it's not anything racism. And then she also mentioned that she's into contract production. She said their aim actually is not to promote their brand. Their aim is to just produce. Okay. For people to know the product. So if you are in, now they are producing to India, to some African countries. And she said, you just bring the contracts that maybe you want, and they have a minimum production, like 2,000 bottles a day. That's what they produce in a day, a minimum production. So if you are bringing a contract, it should be more than that 2,000. So they produce it for you, then you can go and label it wherever you are taking it to.
Oh, okay.
So that's what they do mainly. Okay. And she said you have to make the product visible. So in Ghana, the product is everywhere because they make sure they sell here. And they said their sale is 70% from Ghana. And then she shared some of their struggles, like Malcolm, for instance. She says it takes a lot of time before they get their monies back, but they just want the products to be visible. So as an SME, if you want to grow, one way is to make the products visible. So you can just go and leave some in shops or supermarkets, not expecting the monies back right now, if you can afford that, for people to know the product. And then she also mentioned we using our families and friends. They are the same people that can kill the vision, and they can also grow the vision. So we should use them strategically.
Okay.
I don't know if you have more.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm part of that group.
Okay.
Another interesting thing we learned about this company is that these are two, a husband and a wife. So the names merged from their individual names, Tiwa and then Joe or something like that. Okay. And then both of them are biochemists. Okay. And then they started yogurt production. But the interesting thing we learned there is that as an SME or entrepreneur, when you face challenges, you should be innovative enough. So during the Doomsaw era, the yogurt, before it gets to delivery point, people were not taking care of the icing or freezing structure. So anytime they were going at a loss. So they decided to change the production, totally leave from food to, that's where they came to. So we even asked them whether they changed immediately, and they said no. The yogurt was sustaining them in a smaller scale, though they were going at a loss. And then they started with this business. Gradually, they moved into this one. So that's one thing we learned from them, that you shouldn't fold your arms, but when you face challenges, you should quickly be innovative and then move on. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Okay. Yes. And if there's any question, or you can easily ask.
Just a brief one.
Okay.
She focused on their goal. They want to focus on natural products.
That's correct, yes.
And that's what their vision. So when they started with yogurt and had a problem because of doing so, they said, where are we? So we want to zoom on our natural product. And that came with the black soap.
Okay.
So to them, they focus on their mission and their vision. They stick to it.
That's right.
And now they are making a killing.
Wow. So that's what we refer to as business risks. So to avoid the business risk, they find a way around it. Thank you very much. Group 4.
Group 4.
Group 4 is Fashions Wadata.
Let's put our hands together for Group 4.
We visited Wadata Uniforms, and we met the CEO. He explained their history of business. The business started 30 years ago. So 30 years ago, he started with bespoke, doing boo-boo kaftans, and he services the politicians, top individuals in Ghana here. And over time, he decided he wanted to scale up the business. But then producing one-to-one customer, producing bubu and kaftan, it's not sustainable for you to scale up your production and have access to a large market. So he decided to start uniform production. So they started with, and also for security, uniform for security. So the business was turned into limited in year 2016, and they have staff strength of, before COVID, they have staff strength of 88. Then after COVID till now, they have staff strength of 65 people. And 65, yes, 65. They have 6 supervisors and admin. They have HR, accountant, and compliance officer as well. We were able to move from the different department that they have, from the store area to the cutting area where they are cutting their production, also where they are doing the finishing and ironing. From there, we moved to, we saw where they loaded a lot of water for their staff to take in-house, and then we moved upstairs to see where the industrial machines are. They have 3 line of production line, where they have the supervisor as well to monitor their production. Different section have what they are supposed to do per day, and they have quantity of targets for them to produce and meet up with. They have a control production control board where they write what is being done per day per each line. At the end of the day, they sum it up and know what quantity of uniforms was able to produce by each production line. And I think I was more excited about that because that's the level I was growing into. We also learned that most of the staff, they sign in, they have a clock-in, digital clock-in when they're going in, and they don't go in with their bags. They do meetings Mondays and Fridays, morning, 15 to 10 minutes to discuss the production, what they are doing for that day and also for the week. And the staff also give feedbacks to the management on what they need adjustment on, maybe policies on, or the way they are doing their jobs. They also informed us about, they train their staff on safety, and also if there is fire, what they are to do. It was all over the environment, it was well planned, and also they're trying to scale up. Now they are not exporting, they focus majorly on the market in Ghana, which they said they are not even meeting up with the market. Regarding the material, where they source their material from, they source it locally. Is at the open market. They know they don't have in-house suppliers. They know most of the people selling the materials in the market. So whenever they need the material, they have samples, they will just call them and they get them in bulk. So they don't import themselves. They don't need FX. So that is basically was a very eye-opening section for us. And we had some of our teams that they are experts in accounting and also tax related. They are actually, their CEO was, he said he was hoping that the AfCFTA team was the one coming. He wanted to learn about it so that he can also start get the certificate of origin and know more about it and the opportunities. And we told him that we are going to give feedback so that you can get him on board as well. It was a very awesome experience for us. Thank you.
Let's do the next one because of time. That's Amanex, please. That's group 5. Amanex.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So we went to Amanex Company Limited, which is located at Kokro BT. And then we spoke to the man. His emphasis was based on AfCFTA, how it plays a major role in whatever they do. So he told us about the benefits we get as when we partner with them. He told us the work things out for us outside. He told us they have a branch in Kenya which they deals with goods personally. So if you want to advertise or something, they deal with this. You just have to sit back and relax, and then everything will be done for you. So he has 170 workers, which they are all permanent. And then he says he fully established in 2017 to 2023. And then he emphasized that there are percentages in it, and then everything is based on locally manufactured goods, as my predecessors have been saying. And also he says AfCFTA, the content that they normally take is 40% manufactured goods locally. And then one thing I noticed about him is that he's into liquid soap, air fresheners, and let me say detergent. So one thing I noticed about him is that he imports the goods from other local continents like Nigeria and other parts. And then when he produces his own bottles. So after the production of the bottles, he then uses the waste to generate something else, which is pegs and then hangers, which I think it's very, very recommendable here that whatever we do, every waste we generate can be reusable. It can be generated into something else. So yes, we can recycle it. So I would urge each and everyone here to take it up from them. And then I really took some of the cards, so I would share with some people right after. I'm seeing that people are giving me signals, so I'll share with you right after the program. And then I would like to mention some of the products he does. Breeze Gel, and then he has Bree Air Refreshener, and then he has Yes Pegs, which is the pegs, then Yes Hangers, and then Yes Body Splash. And we also went on to talk about the grants and fundings, which most people, they mentioned in their presentation as I was paying attention to. He says there are grants from the World Bank and then the Japanese International, yes, exactly. So they do speak on behalf of them, and then JIPA as well, and then sometimes they give the loans to them at lower rates. So I would entreat each and everyone here that we should seek the right counsel when it comes to such things, and then things will fall in pleasant place for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so because of time, the last group is Casapreco. Who is presenting Casapreco? Yes. Okay. Okay.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
I'm Znab Abubakar, and this is Mr. Justice, and this is Kofi. We visited Casapreco Company Limited today. Casapreco was founded by Dr. Kwabena Eje in 1989 to produce herbal-based alcoholic drinks. He started the business from his garage. I think what we would like to focus on is the role that AfCFTA played in the growth of Casapreco on the continent and the impact it has on the continent. Casapreco was one of the first companies that were used as a test phase for the AfCFTA test phase. So what happened was it created a lot of opportunities for Casapreco. Initially, the reason why they were, sorry, they focused so much on herbal-based alcoholic drinks, but thanks to the AfCFTA program, now they are now they do water, they do alcoholic drinks, and they also do carbonated soft drinks. Carbonated soft drinks is now their largest market. In fact, it's what has made a major difference in terms of all of their processes. What they've done is that they've been able to go in trying to meet the requirements of the HS codes in terms of the origin of their products. They've been able to start producing their own bottles, their own carton boxes, their own alcohol, by forming strategic alliances, by forming partnerships, and also by owning whole companies as well. This way, they are able to mitigate the challenges that they face in the business environment. So previously, they used to face challenges such as FX challenges. So when I say FX challenges, like exchange rates keep changing all the time. Now they've been able to reduce that because they are producing the items locally here, or they are forming alliances with other companies. And they've also been able to reduce delays and disruptions in their production as well, because in the past, perhaps clearing or freight may be delayed, or the suppliers overseas may be delayed. They can't really compute the how long it takes to get some things delivered, to an extent that sometimes they even had to suspend some of their products that they used to sell before. But by sourcing from the continent and also from producing the raw materials themselves here in the country, they are now able to eliminate most of those risks. My colleague Justice will continue the rest. I hand over to Justice, if that's okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. You could see from my hairnet that I visited Casapreco. Good. Like she said, Casapreco is into partnership with other institutions. For instance, the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research, their Center for Plant Medicine Research. They do the research for their herbal-based products, especially the alomo bitters. And Casapreco's products are sourced mainly from Ghana. 80% of the content is water, so we get it in Ghana, and it's provided by Ghana Water and Sewage. But the other thing too is that they are trying to supplement that with their borehole system. And then the utility system is hybrid. They use both the national grid, solar, and then standby generators in emergency situations. It will surprise you to know that for their carbonated soft drinks, they produce their own carbon dioxide, and the main material used for the carbon dioxide is diesel. They are now in the process of adding liquefied petroleum gas, because converting the liquefied petroleum gas into carbon is quite cheaper than the diesel. So what they are doing is that they are always looking at ways of reducing cost, so that eventually the product on the market will not be too expensive. Now, with the alomo bitters, the Center for Plant Medicine Research does the research for them and makes sure that it is produced in such a way that they can easily distill it and get the final product. That is partnership with the CSIR, CPRM. And then with regard to their packaging materials, they have their own in-house plastic bottle production unit. Like she said earlier, in order to avoid disruptions in the supply chain, they started supplying, importing initially, but sometimes by the time they go through the clearance procedures, transporting from the harbor and all those things to the factory, the cost of adding the costs to the production increases. So now they do it in-house. So it's like there's no delay in delivery, because they told us some time back, when they were depending on external suppliers, somebody will come and order about 50,000 bottles of a particular alcoholic beverage, and it's now that the supplier is telling you, oh, the items are on the high seas coming. But this one, they produce it in-house, and then they do the bottling and everything. Now, to come back to the alomo bitters, the alomo bitters, according to them, is one of their highest selling products. In Nigeria, it's now in the US and UK and Liberia. I was surprised to see a particular bottle in which they claim they don't sell in Ghana at all. It's a small size bottle, and they have a partner who has specifically ordered that for US and Liberia market. And it's about 300 milliliters, sorry, 100 milliliters. And then the one that they sell to Nigeria and the UK is 750 milliliters. And then they have the smaller ones in sachets, which is 50 milliliters. Now, according to them, the benefits, before we went there, I knew of two benefits. Malaria, so for blood boosting and appetizer. But they told us it is good in solving malaria problems to the initial stages. And it's a very good aphrodisiac. And it also minimizes inflammation. Wow. And to confirm that, the lady at the blending factory of the Casapreco asked her, has her husband recommended? He said, yes, the husband is performing very well. So I recommend it to all of you. So it's evidence-based. It's evidence-based. Okay. So in fact, like my sister said, the product is selling well, and they have two other factories. Their packaging company, the box in which it's packaged is produced by Casapreco, subsidiary called Crown Products. They produce the carton. And surprisingly, they produce to the extent that they're able to sell some of the cartons to other people who use cartons. And then their alcohol, they're into partnership with a company called Midland. They help in formulating it, so they do the blending together. So it's like they have a series of arrangements whereby anything they need, either they produce it in-house, or they have the Center for Plant Medicine Research to produce it, or they're into partnership with someone to do it, like the marketing of the products in the US and then Liberia. So that is what they are doing, and it has helped them to minimize costs. And what we've noticed is that Casapreco started in a garage at Cocoa Beach Junction. I've been there before, but it's like they keep improving and improving, so Casapreco is sustainable, and they have 500 fully professional staff and hundreds of outsourced staff. Thank you very much. So,
I think I will give you an appointment there so that you start marketing for them. Thank you. Yes. So our last brother is going to add something to you, but he's going to speak in French. So if you don't understand French, use the. Okay. Yes.
Je dirais à mon tour qu'il y a des entreprises et il y a aussi des grandes entreprises, et Casapreco fait partie des grandes entreprises. Et la visite que j'ai faite aujourd'hui a eu un impact sur la vision que j'ai sur mon entreprise personnelle. Je suis aussi dans la transformation des produits, des matières premières en huile végétale, et j'utilise les bouteilles conditionnées que je commande ici au Ghana. Mais j'ai visité Casapreco et j'ai remarqué que c'est une firme qui s'est engagée de faire la production des bouteilles conditionnées lui-même. Et aussi, Casapreco s'est engagé à mettre en place un système pour éviter le trafic de piratage. Et cela a eu un impact sur moi. Et je pense qu'en tant que PME, j'ai aussi la vision de grandir comme Casapreco. Et la ZELCAF est un atout parce que ça permet de fournir un écosystème, un espace régional qui nous permettra de faire facilement le commerce intra-africain, mais aussi de gagner de la notoriété. Et je pense que tout comme Casapreco, moi, en tant que jeune entrepreneur et PME, j'aurai une notoriété, non seulement au Togo, au Ghana et peut-être dans la sous-région. Et je compte vraiment sur la ZELCAF pour arriver à cet objectif. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Yes, it's your French. Who's your French? Eh? So please, I think we've come to the end of. I'll put something together. We will be able to get a very interesting summaries. I think the rapporteurs are also get it. Once I get all the details, we'll put something very interesting together. But on this note, I would like to thank all of you for making it to the industrial visit. God bless us.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. Let's put our hands together once again for Prof. And for the sacrifices they're leading us through. We have the last item on our agenda so that we can leave on time and then we don't incur further bills from our host. But we noticed that also factory and all of that, whether there's nothing for them to see. We didn't go to hospitals to see how a clinic that has been established by a Nigerian or a Senegalese is functioning in Ghana, so that nurses who have also migrated from a different region to offer their service in Ghana would know what to do. The young women lawyers who are sitting at the corner there, the doctors who are sitting at the corner there, want to know how their services can also cross border. Florence, we will give you to tell us about how women in services, youth in services can also benefit under AfCFTA. Is there anything for a young doctor or a doctor who wants to set up somewhere, a teacher, a lawyer, a nurse, please?
Thank you. What I know is that the AfCFTA has been negotiating trade in services, and professional services will be one of the services that has been negotiated on. But it depends on what a country has made commitments to. For example, if there's a professional doctor that wants to go and practice in Zimbabwe, for example, and Zimbabwe hasn't opened up on professional services, so that means it has to be according to their terms. But because we are negotiating these things, so there also need to be some negotiation on how maybe we can have mutual recognition. Because if, for example, a sector such as medicine, you find that maybe the qualifications for Ghana, they are not really in line with what they need for a doctor maybe in Zambia. So maybe if there's that disparity, there's a way that you have to go through the regulatory office back home, where you have to maybe take a few exams so that you are able to participate. But the fact that services are being negotiated and there's an agreement on trade in services, there's hope for all professions and all different sectors. Tourism sector is one of the sectors that has been negotiated. Transport services. We also have so tourism. There's transport. There's communication. Like in profession, you can also have accounting services. You want to be an auditor or things like that. You just have to make sure that you meet the regulatory requirement of another country and you're able to practice.
Okay.
Yes.
But
thank you.
We don't have a harmonized, and I think there's a question for you, a harmonized certification for services that, if, for instance, accountant example, as you said, I'm a young accountant, I'm done with Ernst & Young in Ghana, I want to go to Ernst & Young in Zimbabwe, for instance, or I just finished my pupillage, I want to go have a law firm in, say, Gambia. Do I have to justify my certificate in that country? Or there is you have concluded a certain service that I should be able to go there as soon as I show that I'm coming from Ghana, AfCFTA party state, I can practice here?
So how we negotiate services is that if I open up, like, for example, in health services, so you say these are the requirements for you to come. So as long as you're able to meet those, you are able to be able to come. But if for example, there are some certain criteria that you need to follow through the regulatory office of that country. If there are certain exams, as I've said, if we recognize, as let's say, as a midwife in this country is at par with a midwife with another country, there's no need for you to take certain exams, you will be exempted. But if that country requires that you take additional tests, that means for you to practice in that country, you go there and register, oh, I'm a Ghanaian midwife, I want to practice in this country. Oh, okay, we recognize this, but just take this extra or pay this fee or things like that. Once you do that, you are able to practice or in that country.
Okay, I saw a hand. You have a question.
Hello. Okay, thank you. From Madam Florence's earlier presentation, she said there are 55 member states that have signed on to the AfCFTA, and then 47 have ratified it for implementation.
54 have signed.
54, okay.
Minus Eritrea.
Pardon the statistics, but what she just made a comment now. She said, after it's negotiating trade in services, but it depends on what countries have committed to. And what I want to understand is it that for a country has a right to decide which protocol to sign up to, or once you sign up, you are bound by all the protocols? That's what I want to understand, please.
Florence.
Thank you.
So there's one agreement, and all these other protocols that are coming are attached to. So depending on how that protocol is negotiated, that means, for example, it has to undergo ratification. But so far, there's already those that are party to the agreement, those that are already completed. Meaning once you ratify, you've ratified all of them.
Okay.
So there are 54 that have signed. There are 47 that have ratified the agreement. So meaning we need more to ratify to say, yes, we are going to make this work.
Okay. Satisfied? Okay. Thank you very much, Florence. Let's put our hands together for Florence for her inputs coming from the Secretariat. On this note, all of us who are outside, we're about to end this all-important 2-day sessions that we have had so far. Please come inside, settle, and let's take our closing remarks. Jonathan. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so those of us who are outside, please, let's come inside. Yes, we have a coffee break after the closing remarks. And before the closing remarks, definitely, we're going to hear from Jonathan Lutrot, who's a partner with KPMG, and I'm sure that side too will hear a lot from the accounting side and the services side. But you can grab the beverage and come back inside. So I see a lot of people trying to get snacks. Please bring them inside. Don't stay outside so that we can finish up on time. Let's invite our next facilitator who is a partner, KPMG, Mr. Jonathan Lutrot, for the next session. Let's put our hands together for him, please.
Good evening, and bonsoir to our Francophone brothers and sisters. Bienvenue à Ghana. All right, so I know we're all waiting. We've had closing remarks, so I know. But I'll be very brief. I had a presentation. I'm not going to go through the presentation because you have actually shared a lot of the themes that I was going to speak on in the go-to-market. I was supposed to talk about some of the key considerations for going to market as an SME, especially in the era of AfCFTA. So I'll be very brief. From everything we've heard, and we've heard from the horse's own mouth, we've heard from entrepreneurs who are doing it and have done it consistently over a number of years. All of you spoke about businesses you've visited, having been in operation for more than 10 years. That's a good track record. Okay. And from everything that you've said, they have found ways to remain competitive with changes in the environment. So how do we do that? And I'll start with those of you who went to Nalem, and those of you who went to Nkulenu, those of you who went to Tijo, was it Tijo? Tiwajo, and end up with Kasapreko. There are two key, I'll put my thoughts into two key categories. One is internal driven. And you can see from that business, each of those businesses, consistent theme, standardization. Standardization. They have a standard way of doing what they do. Somebody spoke about Wadata. They have somewhere they are cutting. They have somewhere they are, tracking production. How many of us here have not called back to check on what's happening in our business over the 2 days we've been here? How many of us have not called at all or received a call from work, our work? That speaks to standardization. There's one, well done. But if you don't have a system in place that allows you to trust that the output that you expect to be delivered is still delivered with or without your presence and supervision. There's work to be done. And if you're going into export, it was Tiwa Joe. You mentioned they are not even interested in labeling the product. They're doing contract manufacturing. You know, Casaprecon is the same. They are not only producing for themselves, they are producing for others. Why? Because there's consistency. There is consistency. What they deliver today is the same as what they deliver tomorrow. It will be the same next month. So they can be trusted to deliver. Same for Nkulenu. What they deliver is consistent. It's been the same over the last 20 years. So standardization. 2 is to be competitive, you must also manage your costs. And across all the businesses you visited, they all look at ways of cutting out waste and reusing waste to get value. That's another key consideration to consider in terms of how you look at your business operations. 3 is risk management. So you spoke about one business saying, I think it was Tiwa Joe again, saying you have to understand the payment practices of your suppliers and put in place measures to make sure if and the word that the presenter used was, if you can afford it. But what I will say is plan for it, because it is a necessary cost of putting your product out there. So plan for it. How much can you put out there and afford to wait for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days? Those who went to Casaprecon, you spoke about exchange rate risks. That is real. They found ways of dealing with it. How? They are bringing a lot more of their production onshore. So they are taking away the costs that is related to exchange differences. So a lot of their input costs are now in cedis. So if there is any exchange difference, now is likely, because in Africa, unfortunately, most of the time, there's currency depreciation rather than an appreciation. You know, so now Casaprecon, by bringing most of their input costs onshore and denominating it in cedis, are now benefiting from an upside. CD depreciates to the dollar. They are selling in dollars when they export. They get a bigger benefit. Okay. Then, so I will hold on to that. I think there's a lot to unpack. But I mean, for internal purposes, you know, I would want all of you to start considering that. 1, standardize. Standardize. And for all, wrapping all around this, before I even close on that, is use all of this, institutionalize these practices so that your business is sustainable. Unfortunately, a lot of our SMEs do not go past the second generation. The founder generation grows the business to a point. Typically, the second generation, we get a lot of failure. There are very few businesses, SME, at least from the Ghanaian example, that have gone to the 4th or 5th generation. And it is all because there is very little institutional capacity built into how those businesses are run. So I was very glad Nalem mentioned it, to say growth can kill your business. And it is true, in more ways than one. He mentioned it from a succession perspective, but growth can also kill your business from a cash flow perspective. You know, so we should bear this in mind. When we go on to the external side of how we retain our competitiveness posture, know your customer. Know your customer. Again, I'll go to Tiwa Joe, those who spoke about Tiwa Joe. They said they went to South Africa and they said black soap for a country that was just coming out of a history of racial discrimination. So the word black immediately became a barrier to the entry of their product. And they had to go through a lot of education to turn it around. I don't know if they are still calling it black soap in South Africa. Perhaps they are using a different name in South Africa. Okay, but then it's taking, so that knowing your customer, is very important. It was Wadata as well, and yes, Wadata and Nalem. Those of you who went there also spoke about culture. So they are making bubus, but then they are looking at, a Senegalese bubu is different from a Nigerian bubu. They are all bubus. But you must consider what works in which market and, make sure that the product you are introducing into that market is acceptable to the customer base. And then you innovate to differentiate your product from what is already in those markets. Fortunately, there are a lot of tools when it comes to cross-culture trade now. I mean, 15 years ago, I was working in Burkina Faso. I was there for just 2 weeks, high-pressure situation. I have to help a business close their books for global reporting. Here's me, I don't speak French. Here's them, they don't speak English. And we had to put a French to English dictionary between the two of us across the table. So I open it, the English side, I mention the French word. And then they will say, d'accord. And they will open it and show me the English. But today, all I have to do is to take my phone and say, Google Translate. So really, we don't, and I'm happy all of you are here today. I mean, I like the theme, breaking business barriers. This program is one of the barrier breakers. And none of you should leave here without creating business in each other's countries. None of you should leave here without creating business in each other's countries. I'm sure if you speak to each other, you will find you are in a value chain, or there are products that even if you could distribute for someone else. There are tools, more tools now for being able to deal with cross-cultural opportunities and learning more about the different characteristics of the same customers we have, in the various countries we come from. And there's also another aspect to it, which is the diaspora. So if you're from Togo, there's a big Togolese diaspora in Ghana. If you're from Benin, there's a big Beninois diaspora in Ghana. If you're from Nigeria, there's a huge diaspora of Nigerians in Ghana. So that becomes a segment that you can target as well with products that they are used to from home that they are not getting in Ghana. So in terms of how you look at differentiating yourself and creating niches that help you to diversify your revenue streams, even from the same product, I would want to leave you with some of these thoughts. And entrepreneurship is not easy. It is not easy. But, once you have gotten this far, and one of the challenges with entrepreneurship is information. But over the last 2 days, you have received a wealth of information. And what I will encourage you to do is not to bury this information, but sit back, reflect on it, and use this information to create a competitive difference for each of your businesses. And together, let's create, Florence, when she was making a presentation, rightly said 90% of businesses across our continent are SMEs. So if we want to create champions across the continent, it's going to come from you. It's going to come from SMEs. So let's use the knowledge we have gained to start that journey so that 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we'll be able to point to some of you and say, today was the birth of the next step in your journey to become what you have become. The CASAPRECOs and the NALEMs and the Tiwajos of our various markets. So I wish you well. Thank you very much. I said I'll be brief, so I'll leave it here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, and I honestly wish that we had more time for you. Some of us were enjoying every bit of the information that you were giving out. We are going to have the closing remarks at this point. If there is no, I'm not sure there is any housekeeping announcement that I have to make, apart from the coffee break that I was signaled about earlier. But we invite Dr. Barasu Diora, knowledge management expert with ACBEF, to give us the closing remarks. Let's put our hands together for him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Let me say all protocol observed. In May this year, around May, April, it was a group of 3 or 4 people that met and were actually brainstorming. So at that time, we really did not thought that we'll come to such a very wonderful event with passionate people. So it's really a privilege to have you in this room since yesterday. And I think I would like to take the opportunities to really thank all of you individually for your kindness in terms of ideas, experiences, but also being with us throughout the 2 days. I think the menu we've offered since yesterday is quite diverse. We've listened to those who are actually on the ground. We've listened to the policymakers. We've listened to academics. We've listened to youth, women, so it's quite diverse and interesting from my position. So on behalf of the organizers, starting with ACBF, the African Capacity Building Foundation, and we have the privilege of having my director here sitting, Ian, the executive secretary who have actually given us the opportunity to lead, but also, bring this event here in Accra. Kriya, Prof, I think, is still, doing some housekeeping outside there. Gimpa, who was here yesterday, and today we have quite a number of them in the room. The AfCFTA Secretariat, who actually accepted to be the patron for this event. And equally important, in the Afrexim Bank, we did not hear much from them, but those are, institutions that work on the ground, that make big differences. So they've fully supported this event by providing the strategic, the technical, but also the financial contribution that has actually helped us to deliver these events. So I would like to thank all of them. So just to reflect on the 2 days, including these today's training, I think very key words are the SMEs. I think you are the star, the SMEs. We just say that 80 to 90% of, the economies are actually driven by the SMEs. Yesterday, we highlighted that the AfCFTA need the SMEs. Without the SMEs, the AfCFTA is actually set to fail. So you are the drivers, okay? The AfCFTA is also very important because, as we highlighted since yesterday, through the AfCFTA, we are actually able to pull about 30 million people out of extreme poverty. So it's equally important. It's a vehicle actually to lift African countries upward and ensure our socio-economic transformation. Now, reflecting on the discussions, probably three key takeaways, which I will actually use some African proverbs. The first one being, if you want to eat an elephant, what should you do? You must eat it bite by bite, right? You can't swallow it the whole. So what does it mean? This again reflects the importance of being patient, of being perseverant, but also taking gradual steps to address the challenge. We've discussed a lot of challenges here, but we all agree that, we can't tackle them all at once. So we have to take them one by one and address them. The second reflection, through again a proverb, is a bird that flies off the earth and lands on an anthill is still on the ground. Right? It did not make it much move. So what does it mean? Is we have intentions, we have aspiration. The AfCFTA is actually a big machine, right? But what we need is actually actions. Yesterday, I think I talked about actions, and those from Nigeria, and if you are also familiar with attending Obasanjo's meeting, he always say Africans need political actions, not political wills. We have to go beyond wills, but have political actions. So it means that actions are needed to make sure that we tackle the barriers we've discussed here and have a successful implementation of the AfCFTA. The last proverb I want to share is, a single stick may smoke, but it won't burn. There is another version of that same proverb which we saw today, those who went to Amanex. We saw it on the wall there saying that if you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So again, that shows the importance of unity, the importance of coming together. So here is a group of SMEs blended with policymakers and some financiers. I hope they did not run away from the room. So let's really form a coalition of actors that actually will drive the AfCFTA, because the AfCFTA is ours. It's yours as SME. So to conclude again, I would like to thank CREA, GIMPA, ACBF, of course, the Afrexim Bank, and the AfCFTA Secretariat, who also not only blessed this event, but sent experts to actually share what they are doing and guide us. So last but not least, we have our very able interpreters who are sitting at the back, very quiet but very efficient. I would like to thank them very much for helping us to understand each other. We have our IT and very able colleague from MIDA,
Thank you again for supporting this event. As we leave, I would like again to share that the success of the AfCFTA lie in our collective efforts. And as SMEs, we have the power to shape the future of Africa's transformation. Last but not the least, where is our MC? So I would like you to give him a very deserved round of applause. Thank you again for helping us throughout since yesterday. So thank you all again for your active participation, and may the AfCFTA bring prosperity and sustainable development in Africa. My last sentence or statement will be around that ACBF, CREA, GIMPA, together with the AfCFTA Secretariat and the support of AfricSimbank, will continue such a partnership. So this is just the beginning of something that we are thinking about that is really to support SMEs in all ways, be it technical, be it political, be it strategic, and more importantly, being financial. So we'll continue to support you. We have your contact, all of you. We have a database, so we'll continue to work with you. Thank you so much again for your attention, and see you very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Let's put our hands together once again for Dr. Diawara. He's a knowledge management expert with the African Capacity Building Foundation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the two-day conference. Very important subject that we have all tackled, breaking business barriers for AfCFTA acceleration. Coffee is served outside, or cocoa, or chocolate, or anything. Please go help yourself. And I'm told that a lot of us haven't had enough time to connect, network, socialize. Please, this is the best time. We thank you for coming. Let's put our hands together for ourselves.